So he will always, always step back and try to have a philosophical perspective on where he's feeling vulnerable in his life. That will be his fallback position always.
So the best thing to do is kind of pull back and not say much and keep that mystery,
I would say pull back a little bit. You know, it's Mercury retrograde anyway. You know, just focus on your own life. You know, enjoy being who you look. Men always, whether it's men or women, we always find people that are living their lives in accordance with their own inner guidance and doing it gracefully and doing it well. We always find those people more attractive. It's just the way it is. So if you're living your life and you're enjoying who you are, and all of a sudden, and you're checking in with him, but you're not necessarily investing a huge amount of time in him, you know, guess what? Oh, hey, how you doing? What are you doing? Oh, I just checking in, just seeing how you're doing. Oh, I'm doing good. How are you doing? I'm doing fine. I've been thinking about you. Oh, really? Oh, I've been thinking about you. I mean, this is how these things go, you know? And it's just... Go ahead.
I have a question because I've read, you know, all these things online, and they say, like, for some reason, a Scorpio and a Cancer, I feel like we both, like, it's almost like we're drawn together. I can't explain it. I feel his intensity, but I feel like he's better at hiding it than I am. I think sometimes I'm like, I try to hide it, but I feel like...
Well, that's, again, let's go back to your Mars-Sun conjunction. You can't really hide it because you have Mars conjunct Sun. Like, you know, I mean, Cancers are emotional, you know, so you're going to wear your emotions on your sleeve with the Mars conjunct Sun.
And Scorpios are not?
Scorpios are much more secretive. Much more
secretive. They're hard to read. I just can't understand them.
Once you cross over with the Scorpio, meaning once they take you into their confidence, I mean, you will have a friend or a lover for life. There's no middle ground with Scorpios.
What about ending relationships? Are they, like, easy to let go? Because this person got out of a relationship a while back, and I wasn't sure if that's kind of a reason he...
It depends. It depends. Look, he's going to be going through his Saturn return here, too. I mean, look, you're going to have two people going through their Saturn return. You know, and a lot of times, you know, if you're in a relationship, you know, before your Saturn return, you won't make it through. The relationship won't last. Like, for instance, you look at what's her name, Kate Middleton and Prince William, right? So what, you know, the Queen is, the royalty in England have been deeply steeped and versed in astrology since, you know, Elizabeth I. And they lived their lives via astrology. So they planned the wedding to take place when Saturn had passed over both of Kate Middleton's and William's natal Saturns. They would not get married before then. So anytime you were in a relationship prior to your Saturn return, it's going to go through a churn. It's going to go through the grind of Saturn, the meat grinder of Saturn. And you both have Saturn in Scorpio. So let's just say, best case scenario, you know, he comes around and he digs being with you. You're still going to have to go through this Saturn return together. I'm not saying,
that?
What's that?
When is that?
Well, you're going to start to go through it early in 2013. I mean, so Saturn moves into Scorpio in 2012, but in 2013 it really picks up, and that's when you personally go through, because Saturn is closer because it went retrograde, I think, in your chart than it is in his, and then he goes through it. So, but you're both going to be going through it together. So it's 2013 to about 2015, 2016. That's your Saturn return time. Anyway, there's a lot of growth that takes place in there, and I'm not saying you theoretically could not go through your growth together, but at the end of the day, I don't think it's a bad potential for a relationship. You know, it's just.
So Scorpios just to stay back and be as mysterious as my Cancer.
Scorpios enjoy a mystery, so become a mystery and see what happens.
That's funny. Okay.
All right.
Thank you. I'm going to go back and listen to all that. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thanks for calling in.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Here we go. That was a long reading, wasn't it? But I enjoy reading for new people. It's always a pleasure. Let's see. You know why? Because they don't know a lot, and basically anything I say makes me sound really smart, doesn't it, to a new person? Here we go. We got somebody calling in from, let's see, New York City. Let's find out who they are and what they want to talk about. Hey, you're on the air.
Hey, hi. Curious, you mentioned the Sabian symbols, and I'm 3 degrees Cancer.
Mm-hmm.
My moon 4 degrees Scorpio, and my Jupiter is 7 degree Pisces. It's a grand trine, but wondering especially about the 3 degrees Cancer.
Sure, let's look it up. That's a really powerful trine, especially at those early degrees. So let's see if we can find that.
Okay.
What's your name, by the way?
Helena.
Helena. Hi, Helena.
Hello.
So let's go here. So with Sabian symbols, we always round up to the next degree, right? That's kind of the rule of thumb. Although I noticed that when Linda talks about Sabian symbols, Linda Hill, she'll include both degrees. And I think it's actually a good practice, right? So the Sabian symbol for you, or the two of them, would be 3 to 4 degrees Cancer and 2 to 3 degrees Cancer. So it'd be a man bundled in fur leads a shaggy deer. Actually, no, it'd be 3 to 4 and 4 to 5. That's what it'd be. So it'd be a cat arguing with a mouse. And then the next one is at a railroad crossing, an automobile is wrecked by a train. That's a lovely symbol, isn't it? Jeez.
It's hideous.
So a cat arguing with a mouse. Well, let's see if I can find my Bible by Rudyard here really quickly. Here we go. Let's just read what Dane Rudyard has to say about this. Maybe that will give you some more insight into your Sabian symbol. A cat arguing with a mouse. Let's go with that. Hold on. Here we go. This is the right degree, by the way. It says here, an attempt at self-justification. We are still involved in the results of an act which brought about a radical reorientation of one's life. The drives of the biopsychic organism are still not easily conquered. A multitude of decisions inevitably follows the big and grand gestures of repudiation and realignment. The desires of the body still drown the voice of the new man. One argues with oneself, hoping to convince oneself that the old impulses are still legitimate. At the fourth stage of the fivefold sequence, hesitancy and conflicting motives are inevitable. The mind is very clever at not facing the consequences which follow from desires or even from restlessness. Attempts at rationalization are experienced and should be understood. So how I read that is that if something in your life that you're working on, right, is not being resolved, or let's say, for instance, you have if you fall back, what do they call that? Let's see, backslide on something, right? Or you allow a relationship into your life that you know is not healthy for you. There is a level of rationalization and justification that takes place. And so what you would do with that is you'd have to observe that and say, really, am I justifying something in my life that I really know is not good for me? And if so, why am I doing that? That's really, I think, the focal point of that Sabian symbol. It's about untangling the rationalization of mind talk.
Okay, that you put it a lot more clearly.
Good. I'm glad. Dane Rudyard tends to interpret this stuff at a really high level, and sometimes it's really good, and sometimes it just goes right over people. That's how I interpret that. Do you know what your rising sign is and what degree?
Leo. I just picked this up on astro.com. Leo, and my chart's rectified, so it might be an hour difference. It's either 17 or 18 degrees.
Okay, well, let's take a look at your rising sign real quickly, because that might give us some more insight into how there's the interplay with the sun sign. So let's go to Leo, and you said 17 to 18 degrees?
Yeah. It looks like 1856. Might even go to 19. It doesn't say 19. It says 18.
So let's look at 18 and 19 degrees. 18 degrees is a chemist conducts an experiment for his students. And the keynote for this one is, in inquiring into the hidden process of nature, the human mind experiences the thrill of discovery. We round it off to the next degree. It's a houseboat party, the enjoyment of temporary freedom from rigidly structured social behavior. So let's go with the 18 degrees, and let's factor that into the cat arguing with the mouse symbol. So here we have, I think, kind of an interesting connection. Rudyard says, here we reach the level of intellectual analysis and the human ability to control natural processes. This ability is based on the inherited knowledge acquired by a community of men, generation after generation. The symbol stresses the fact as it presents a teaching situation. The individual demonstrates his power, which is founded on a long series of efforts. He is one link in an ancestral chain, which his activity prolongs into the future. At this third stage of the 28th phase of the cyclic process, we see man as an agent of the collectivity of human beings approaching nature in terms of the possibility of transforming it in order to satisfy his wants or his needs. At the highest level of this activity, one can speak of alchemy. Okay, so I think that that's a great symbol in conjunction with a cat arguing with a mouse. So here you have this process of justification, analysis, trying to, understand why something is good or isn't good, and at times making a rationalization to adopt a certain behavior or indulge in a certain pattern. Now your rising sign comes in, right? And conducts an experiment for his students. The rising sign comes in and says, is this really worthwhile? Is this in my best interest? Should I be doing this? Now you have it's kind of a fail-safe that's been worked into your chart. And then you can then say, you know what? This is a fail. I'm moving on. Or you could say, and this might be more apropos, I will experiment with this behavior. I will watch myself make a justification or rationalization, and I will use this opportunity to either abort it or come at it from a higher level. In essence, I will use this experience to acquire wisdom. This is what I think is a really nice interplay between your sun sign and your Sabian rising sign.
Good. That helps and makes me feel better.
and then with 19 Leo, right, a houseboat party. And once you arrive at that understanding, then you can kick back and party a little bit because you've done good work. So that could be a real pattern for your life. And with that trine, that grand water trine, the main thing with that grand water trine is you just want to keep things flowing. You don't want to get stuck. You don't want to get hung up on obstructions. The great thing about water, what does it do? It goes above an obstruction. It goes around an obstruction. It will go under an obstruction. That's your key to life, is to keep moving, to get, to not get stuck on stuff. And that rising sign will help you. It will help you understand from an intellectual perspective where you get hung up and then flow. Flow around it, flow above it, flow below it. When I think of water and that grand trine, I think of Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee, he had like 4 or 5 planets in Scorpio. And they're all,
did he?
Yeah.
I have Pluto in the first house, too.
So Bruce Lee would say, his big thing was, be like water. When you put water in a cup, it becomes a cup. When you put water in a bowl, it becomes the bowl. And this is, I think, one of the great teachings that Bruce Lee left with us. I love this siren. It's the first Wednesday of every month. I don't know if you can hear it.
Is that it?
Yeah, I live just down the street from